sure you were in a good place?
So my financial story is very unique. So I went to sleep with $3,000 in my account. I woke up with $1.5 million.
Girl.
Oh.
We should say both. Should we say?
And I hit my ceiling in life. I chose the other route. And then I just choose every day to keep going.
Also, what I hear in this is in that down season, it's not, yes, be true to your feelings, feel your feels, but also keep to the strategy and to the vision.
Still be a single mom. I'm not a single mom anymore, but at the time I was. Yeah. So I was defying all odds. The $1.5 million, I didn't spend that right away either. I cried and I went into a panic because I never seen that much money. I didn't want to make any mistakes and I didn't want to be treated differently. You have no idea what's inside of you. Live life with no regrets, open-mindedness.
Girl, this. Right.
It's all necessary with Tifani Sage.
This is great. Moving on to work and lifestyle, we're getting deeper into now the meat. Let's kick it off with what inspired you to start your own production company, Demi Rebel?
That is a good question. I may have to...
Because you could have went into a lot of different things.
I could have. I most definitely could have. So, fun fact, I actually started video with my cell phone. When I quit corporate, I didn't quit. When I resigned corporate, quitting ain't even bad, but I ain't gonna go there. When I resigned from corporate, I didn't know what I was really going to do. So I decided to take a sabbatical to find myself because I realized that I've made choices for everybody else up until that point. I didn't go to corporate because I really wanted to. I did it because I thought I had to. I didn't feel like I had any other choice. But I love corporate. It was game changing. But when it came to the video side, when I went on that sabbatical and did the solo traveling to the 5 countries, Egypt, Dubai, Tulum, Greece, and Turkey. That was me trying to figure out, what do I like? What do I love? What am I good at? Because I didn't know my strengths, my talents. I didn't know my gifts. I didn't know anything about myself. I just knew that I was good working for somebody else. Okay. And then March 20th of 2022, in my journal, I was told to do content. I hated content. I hated social media. I didn't know how to do the things. At least I didn't think I did. And fast forwarding to the future, when I started to do the content, I started to do the content for other people. I would just go to all these different events in Nashville, record their events, and then I would DM it to them and say, hey, I got this. Eventually, it got to a point to where my content spread around Nashville. And people started to pay me to come be the content creator for their events. And I was specializing in event recaps and promotional videos to help people promote promote their events. And as I was doing that, I found a new love. I like storytelling. I know that's a cliche saying with people in video production, but that's truly what it is for me. I love storytelling. But it wasn't just about normal storytelling for me. It was more about positive and impact-based storytelling. I appreciated being able to show and communicate these events in a more positive light, outside of drinking, outside of twerking, outside of the culture of nightlife, right? I was able to show the experience of the event. And I appreciated that I was able to shift perspectives that way. And the power that I saw in these videos, people's events were selling out. People's events were doubling in size for their next one because people were able to see it in a different way. That clicked into my mind and made me realize video is truly king. Not only is it king to help people make money, but it conditions how we see things and think about things. It influences our minds.
Everything.
It influences everything. Think about it. Different cultures think we're a certain way because what they see on TV. We think that people are a certain way because what we see on social media. Or, we make a lot of decisions based off of visuals that we see all the time. They're around us 24/7. I did not like the fact that we could potentially be being conditioned to be the opposite of what we needed to be because other people had the power to do video and they didn't have the same belief as me. I truly care about humanity, and I want people to know their highest version of themselves. I want them to have hope. I want them to believe that they're capable of doing things. And when I started paying attention to what was in media, I wasn't seeing any of that. I don't watch TV as much because of it. I don't watch the news. I'm not really a social media. I like social media, but my algorithm is set now to where I'm only looking at certain things. And it was also after COVID. So depression was high, suicide rates was high, illnesses was high. Our hope as a earth was basically kind of dwindled a bit. People were losing their jobs. We had the recession. Eggs is $10. So the eggs being $10 is crazy. Eggs being 89 cents. But I realized that, okay, in order to lead culture forward, and not culture as in just Black people, just culture in general, we need to see some positivity to influence us to know that there's more than what we are currently experiencing right now. Then I realized and researched that media is 90% negative. That's a fact. So I turn on my TV and if I turn on my TV and hear about all the deaths that happen and all the shootings that happen and all these bad things, that's going to put me in a place of fear. Exactly. Versus if I can see who saved this person out the fire or how this business donated this to create homeless shelters. Like, that's different for me. That gives me hope. So the reason why I started a video production company is specifically because of that. I got tired of our mindsets being attacked by the negativity that we were being fed. I feel like that it was putting culture in a very vulnerable place, and it was preventing us from being able to really grow. And I didn't like that. And then I also dislike seeing a lot of brands and businesses that can also add to that same vision, but they couldn't get to where they needed to be because they did not know how to promote themselves in this new age of social media.
You know what this reminds me of? I don't want to butcher the saying, but it's like the hand that writes history is the one who survived, or something like that.
I never heard that.
It's kind of like when you said, I guess the people with the media, they're capturing the not so good things about other minorities. Right. And it's like, but if the minorities know how to operate the camera, which, we do now, right, it's like, it changes the game now. And now it's not just that one
perspective.
Exactly. When you were in the level up, so when you realized, like, you know what, I want to change the perspective, and you wanted to get into video, what's that process look like, transitioning from, I guess you're out of corporate now, and now you need to put on your CEO hat. How did that look like?
Well, I didn't accept the CEO role until maybe March of this year. Okay. I didn't see myself as a CEO. I just saw myself as a creative director at the time. It was really hard for me to fathom the fact that I am the sole decision maker, and me and my business partner are really all we have. Like, we are the people that others look forward to guide them, tell them what to do, how to do it, develop them. It took me a really long time to get that through my head. But navigating from being out of corporate to being a CEO and a video production owner, it was hard. I had to really truly start to believe in myself a little bit more, because I had to get out of my own head and start recognizing that I was called to be a leader. Yeah. I am called to develop because I truly care about people. And I had to do some deep work of figuring out, like, how can I believe that my guidance and my direction and my decisions are capable of creating opportunities and good history for others. So I dealt with a lot of self-doubt in the beginning. I dealt with a lot of self-criticism in the beginning. But then once I just started to do more things that build confidence, because we all go through it.
The doing gives you the confidence.
The doing gives the confidence. There's no way the confidence is going to be had if we're not doing things that's proven to ourselves, because there's nothing wrong with us needing to prove ourselves that we're capable. We're human.
Right.
But where the problem comes in is that we don't do the things that we need to do to prove to ourselves that we are. So we just sit in this low space and complain all the time. Well, I didn't stay there for too long. I did it because it's a part of the process, but then I just started putting myself in specific situations. And also, I started learning and reading and taking classes and certifications, because knowledge is what gives me my confidence.
Yeah.
I don't like feeling like I don't know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So I have to make sure I'm equipped and prepared with the knowledge. And once I figured that specific thing about me, I started to navigate the transition a lot more better. I can't say that. My partner would get so mad. I started navigating that situation a lot better.
Okay.
And I just had to get out of my head that a video production, like in the video production space, there's not a lot of women. There's not a lot of Black women. I had to remove that thought because it was keeping me in this space of I was going, like I felt like I had to battle and fight. And it's not, I do have to battle and fight, but not in the way that my mind was telling me I had to. And then I also had to be okay with being self-taught and not going to film school. And, you know, I didn't know, I still don't know everything that I need to know, but I had to just be okay with building piece by piece.
Yeah.
And I had to be okay with being in rooms and I didn't know everything. And I had to be okay with asking questions. So the transition, it was like a evolved cycle for me. I started with the hype. Yes, I quit. Freedom, liberation. Woo! Yeah. Then I went into this place of like, oh shit. What did I just do? What am I going to do? How am I going to make money? Then I got my decision. I got my clarity. Then I went into the space of self-doubt where I'm like, this is dumb. I even applied for jobs again because I truly was not sure. And then I made a decision of, you have to prove to yourself that this is not true, because you are what you say you are. You are what you do. This advice I said earlier where she said you get hired for what you're already doing. Yeah. I'm like, okay, I can either choose to try to see how far I can go with this. And then if it don't work out, it don't work out. But it is going to work out because I'm going to do the work to make it work out. Yeah. Or I can choose this side where I just give up and I hit my ceiling in life. I chose the other route. And then I just choose every day to keep going.
What did you have to do financially to make sure you were in a, like, I guess, like when you're applying to jobs, what did you have to do financially to make sure you were in a good place?
So my financial story is very unique.
Okay.
I haven't shared this story. Well, I have shared it, but I don't. Wait. I have shared this story, but I'm just not getting to the point where I'm really sharing it, only because I want to make sure people understand that this is just a very miraculous situation. And it was at one point in time where people were chasing my same story to try to get the same result. But my story is my story. Your story is your story. But how I did it financially is when I was at Zoom Tech, I invested into their stock because as an employee, a part of my benefits package was I got incentive stock options. And I had thousands of them. Zoom went public in 2019, I believe. My share price was 73 cents as an employee because I was with them as a startup. When it went public, it became $63. I had 8,000 shares. Okay. I held mine. Everybody around me was spending, paying our student loan debt, buying homes. I'm like, y'all crazy. I work here. So I see something is going to happen with Zoom. I just don't know what. I could just feel it. Remember I told you I feel things and I don't know. I just know how to make certain decisions. So I held it, and then COVID happened. Their stock price went to $500 a share. I didn't have the full 8,000 because
Okay.
I had to stay there
Yeah.
for the full term, but I had 4,000.
Mm-hmm.
So 4,000, 500 a share. I made 1.5 million.
Mm-hmm.
So I went to sleep with 3,000 in my account. I woke up with 1.5 million.
Girl.
Another sleep wake up moment, like immature to the mature.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how I was able to go through entrepreneurship.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I was able to do the sabbatical. Mm-hmm. That's how I was able to find myself, make mistakes, put money towards things, not work and not have to worry about it. I took the 1.5 million and I set myself up for the future. Mm-hmm. So I paid off all my student loan debt. I paid off all of my debt on my credit report. Mm-hmm. I put a really big down payment on my home. I didn't know we was going to get to this place where homes were expensive. Yeah. I just knew to buy a home, but I had the opportunity. So that way my mortgage could be $672 a month. Mm-hmm. And then I paid off my car. So I had really no major bills. Mm-hmm. I just had my rent, my utilities. Yeah. That's basically it. Yeah. So my home expenses were about $2,000 total. Okay. And then I also took that same money and I took a lot of it and put it into retirement. Roth Roth IRA. I did a college fund for my daughter. I also took a lot of it and just bought everything I ever wanted because I wanted to get the sense of just spending for instant gratification out of my system. Because in my mind, if I had 1.5 million, that means I'm meant to be rich. Yeah. There is no way I'm getting 1.5 million and never seeing that type of money again. Yeah. So I took it as you have to learn better money management. So I took money and I just bought everything I wanted ever so I can get used to it. And it's no longer a level of standard. Mm-hmm. It's just, okay, that's cool, whatever. Like I bought a bag, whatever. Yeah. And then I just explored from there. Mm-hmm. I gave myself a budget. And I invested into being an entrepreneur. I wasted a lot of money, didn't waste a lot of money, but I got the opportunity to reinvent myself again. That's how I took it. I took it that God gave me an opportunity to refine myself and discover who I am with all the sacrifices I've made throughout life. I feel like that was finally my reward. And when I had my daughter, I will always say that dreams kind of alter a bit when you have a kid. And I had my daughter my last year of college, so I didn't get to really live out my dreams in full because that's my priority. That gave me an opportunity to relive my dreams, still be a single mom. I'm not a single mom anymore, but at the time I was. So I was defying all odds. And that's how I did it.
Girl, this. Right.
It was a miraculous story, I'll tell you.
The lifestyle change, I feel like you touched it a bit, but maybe you have a different answer. Were there any lifestyle changes when you were from, I guess, bossing up, where it's like, okay, well, since I'm, creative director moving into, I'm accepting CEO now. Mm-hmm. Were there any lifestyle changes where it's like, okay, I can't be doing this anymore because...
Yeah. I stopped drinking.
Okay.
I stopped drinking.
You don't even strike me as a drinker, but what does a drinker look like? You don't look like that.
I used to drink, like I'll have champagne, I'll have wine, I'll have a cocktail, but I truly stopped drinking in order to have fun. Like if I want to go out with my friends, I don't have that college mindset anymore that I have to pregame to have fun. Yeah. I stopped doing that completely only because for me, I felt like I'm not living in the moment. And as I started to level up more, I recognized that I had to be more in the moment because I can miss things if I'm not. Yeah. So I didn't like the fact that while I'm having fun, that's a vulnerable space for the spirit. And if I have alcohol and if me having fun and laughing and being full of love and gratitude, alcohol can block the positives of downloads because alcohol is a depressant. So I don't got time to be trying to sit here and think about all the stuff that happened to me wrong in life, crying. I don't want that. I want to be able to use the fun and be like, oh, that's a good idea. Or like, wow, can you repeat that? You're really smart. Like, what is your name? Like, where I want to use the opportunity to expand my way of thinking and not hurt my way of thinking. So I stopped that. I also stopped.
Whoa, pop, pop, pop. All right, so my name is Tifani Sage. I'm a confidence and clarity life coach. If you're feeling unfulfilled in your life, or you don't know what's next for you, I'm your girl. I can take you to new levels of clarity. Click the link in my bio for a complimentary, I said it, complimentary call with me so we can get your life on track. Click the link so we can connect.
I stopped going out late and coming in the house early.
Okay.
So if I go out, I'm going to be back home at like 10. The latest, 12 a.m. Not only because I'm in a relationship, but I'm really spiritual. Like I'm super, super committed to that. A lot of stuff happens in the hours of midnight and 3 a.m. And 3 a.m. is the most holy hour. That's why a lot of nightmares that we have happen at 3 a.m. We may randomly wake up between like that 2 a.m. and 4 o'clock time frame. It's the most spiritual hour. So I did not want to put myself in position where I'm out at those times, because that's also where a lot of shootings happen, people fighting, all kind of stuff. And I wouldn't know parts. So I stopped that. And then another thing I stopped doing is just not caring for my body overall. I used to just eat fast food, snacks. I'm a stress eater.
Okay.
So I was eating a lot of sugar and just putting all these things into my body that didn't propel me forward. So I took a stance on treating my body truly like a temple. And it was a scripture I read that made me change that thought process. It said, this ain't the real scripture. So for people out there who know scriptures by heart, I know this ain't the exact scripture. But to interpret it in my own way, it basically said that the ultimate form of worship is how we treat ourselves in the body. I was taught that true worship is praise and worship, like singing the songs and all that stuff. But in the Bible, it doesn't say that. It says the true form of worship is how we treat ourselves in our body. So then the body is a temple made a lot of sense to me. And from that point on, I'm like, okay, everything I do is worship then. How I eat is worship. If I go to the gym is worship. How I treat people is worship. How I talk to people is worship. What I choose to say yes to is worship, because we're worshiping something regardless. And I chose to worship what I needed to worship to take me in the direction I wanted to go. So that's what I changed.
Girl, this is good. How do you know? I feel like it's hitting me in my dome. Are there any standout rocky entrepreneurship moments where you're like, not that you're going to lose everything, but it was just like, I don't know if I want to do this anymore.
Absolutely. I think we all go through it. It was around the time where
no, cut that out and cut that out. So, but I love it because it's like, this is real life.
It is real life. Okay, back to the rocky moment.
Yes.
The rocky moment I had was, well, one, me and my business partner merged. So when we merged together, my clientele and his clientele is what we were serving. Okay. And we hit a moment, where we realized that the people that we were currently serving were not going to get us to the $1 million space that we needed to be in. And we realized that if we stayed with that specific target audience, we were going to stay in hustle culture. Yeah. If we stay with that specific type of audience, that we were going to stay in hustle culture. There we go. And we decided to change our target audience, and we made no sales for 2 months. 3 months. We didn't make sales from January all the way to March.
And that is scary. We're good. You know, I'm sorry when you always say it. When I'm always listening, I'm always like, cut that out. Sorry. So, sorry.
It's okay.
Also, can you put my thing on the charger for me, guys? Tell me what your mind was going through. 3 months, haven't made anything. Is it like,
I thought I was failing. I had this feeling that my decision and that his decision to switch audiences was a bad idea, because I was like, we're not making any money. Like, why did we decide to do that? We were doing perfectly fine with who we were serving, even though we were working like crazy and doing high volume work with low revenue. It still was the consistency and the certainty that we were going to be good every single month. And I wasn't sure what the heck we was about to do, especially because I am in a life partnership with my business partner as well. So that is our home income, and we have a kid. So I'm like, okay, this is kind of crazy. They didn't put this in these YouTube videos where they talking about entrepreneurship. They said go to coffee shops and get these cars with your LLC. Like, they didn't talk about not making money for 2 to 3 months at a time, and we have so much to do. And it was after holiday season. It was springtime. Like, it was too much. But that was the moment where I was like, okay, I'm about to go get a job, because this is crazy. But my partner, he has been a Sonic worker. He worked at Nissan, and he's been an entrepreneur. He's been an entrepreneur majority of his life. So he was like, no, don't do it. Like, you got to be patient. You got to wait. And at the time, I was a little bit more new to entrepreneurship. So I didn't understand that when you change your target audience, you have to filter out the old and attract the new. So the things that we were doing, all of the portfolio builders that we had, all of the projects that we've done were not attractive to the new target audience. So I had to just sit down and think through, how can we attract this new target audience quickly, because we don't have no money. We're not bringing in any revenue. And then that's when I had realized, okay, we're just going to have to shoot things that make sense to them.
Got it.
Because the stuff that we have, they're not going to pay for that. And if we don't shoot nothing, we're going to have to go back to the target audience we're trying to get away from, which makes us go backwards. And it ended up changing. That moment is what helped me close our very first $30,000 deal with a major corporation. But if it wasn't for us going through like that down season, it wouldn't have put us in a place where we can think more creatively, understand what our audience did not want to see, or just put us in a space where we were saying no, because we said no to everything those 2 months too, if it didn't align with what we wanted to do.
That can be scary too.
It could be scary. I should
have taken at least one of the.
It was very scary. It was very, very, very scary, but we didn't do it. If we would have said yes to some of those things, we wouldn't have been available for that specific shoot. So it was just one of those things of just persevering. I can't even get the word out. It was just one of those things of persevering, and then just believing that something's going to change, and our business haven't been the same since.
Wow. And I feel also what I hear in this is, in that down season, it's not yes, be true to your feelings, feel your feels, but also keep to the strategy and to the vision instead of succumbing to it. And then like the situation looks down, so I'm going to feel down. And then it's all, like energy is
right. It couldn't affect you.
Momentum and a domino effect. What advice would you give to couples that work together to keep the peace, and also to keep, not lose the romantic relationship where it's all professional, but also vice versa? Don't get too lackadaisical where it's like, hey babe, like super touchy, and it's like, we're working
right. I would most definitely say figure out I'm like, what is going on?
We should say, Bo, should we say, let's say there's something going on upstairs, but we're being creative with how we set this up. So there was footsteps, and Briana was like, wait, you thought that was your daughter?
I did. I'm like, what is she doing? Okay. The advice that I would give to, I actually hate the term advice. I like experience shares. I hate the word advice because I feel like advice has this idea that I got it all figured out, and I hate it. But I'm going to share an experience share. The experience I would say is that figure out what both of your strengths are, because those strengths is what's going to help make sure that the business relationship and the personal relationship is balanced. And that's very important because you have to understand who is the leader at what part of the relationship. So me and my business partner, we both understand he doesn't have to lead everything because he's the man. And with me being a CEO, that was a big start of that, is because I had to lead the business, but that don't mean I got to lead everything. So our relationship is like flipped. This. He cooks. He washes the laundry. I don't do any laundry. He's the laundry person. And I'm the one who may do things like clean or, you know, make sure Reagan's hair is done, make sure she's taken care of. So figuring out whose strengths is in what area of the home, but also in the business. So like in the business, I'm the strategy, the data. I have a corporate background, so I understand business to a different degree. He's all the creative. So he's the person who's bringing the cameras and the lights and concepts and all those things. So we understood that you don't have to be on this side selling and making proposals and trying to go out here and network, because he's an introvert. Why would we force him to do something like that until he's ready? But on the flip side, I don't want to also have to be editing those videos and doing all that stuff and dealing with client feedback because my strengths don't allow me to be able to do that with excellence. So figuring out the strengths on both sides is very important, because there's going to be a lot of moments where problem solving is going to be top tier important. But also be prepared and ready to find a lot of things out about each other and be ready to deal with it and figure it out as a unit. Because doing business together and doing life together, you learn each other in completely different ways. Very, very different ways. You can't hide when you're doing stuff like that. He know my bank account because we got the same money. We know each other's moves. We know what your schedule is like. We know if you procrastinated or not, because we can see in each other's entire life. So
with that, when you can, both of you can see, I want to make sure I say this right. It sounds like you have to both be sensitive, in particular, of how the both of you come at each other, because it's like, I can see everything. And maybe in another relationship, it's like, oh, I saw that, I'm gonna get on you on that. Right. Where it's like, hey, I don't want to like have to put a wall up now so you can't see, so that you can't attack, you know?
It's hard. It's hard. It's like a daily choice, but the more we go through it, it becomes easier and easier and easier. And I think the thing that makes being in business with your partner very beautiful is that it really truly goes against what social media and society says a relationship is supposed to be. I had an idea version in my mind as a woman, we all do. That's not necessarily what I needed. When I said the story about how we wasn't making any money and I was like, I'm gonna go get a job. My partner was the person who kept me grounded in that time frame. So we have moments where if he's down, my strengths is going to keep us level-headed, and then vice versa. So it's a challenging thing because boundaries have to be stronger on both ends. Honesty has to be stronger on both ends. Communication has to be stronger on both ends. Being in business with your life partner, everything has to be tripled. Because we can't leave if we are upset at each other, because we still got to go to the office. And if that energy is still in the office, we're not going to be productive. The team is going to be able to realize it. And that's just crazy. Then we're it's crazy. It's
messy.
So being willing to like truly look at your own self and getting comfortable real quick with having hard conversations, being okay with boundaries, and understanding that your situation is not going to look like everybody else's. So be okay with what's in your world.
Yeah. Moving on to essence, my favorite question. What do you love most about yourself?
I haven't heard a question like that since school.
Really?
What do I like most about myself? I really liked, I spoke in past tense. I really like my ability to be able to see a bigger picture. I thought everybody could see visions, and I thought everybody was future forward. I thought everybody could recognize a problem and know exactly what to do to fix the problem. But I've learned that that's not the case. Sometimes, or this one guy told me he doesn't have an inside voice. I said, how you don't have an inside voice? Like, you don't, like, what does it sound like then? Is it just mute? Like, I'm confused. But he said he doesn't have an inside voice. Like, he doesn't have somebody in his head or himself in his head. I'm like, okay, this must be a superpower or something, because I got a bunch of inside voices. I talk to myself. I think to myself. I problem solve with myself. That's what I love about me, because those moments really, truly helps me get through a lot of situations. Yeah. And I'm able to go through the pros and cons, the risk and rewards. I'm able to see how this can affect the future without even knowing what the future is going to look like. Buying my house, with paying a big down payment, with the lower mortgage, being able to pay off all of my debt, knowing to hold my investments, got the 1.5 million, understanding when to move to Nashville, when entrepreneurship started to boom. Like all those things comes from that strength that I have. I like that.
Me too. I love it. What are you most proud about of yourself?
I am most proud about taking the time to really be who I am in full. And I say that because I used to hate the word authenticity.
Why?
Because everyone says it now. It's like being authentic is a trend now. It's just randomly everybody wants to be authentic, right? However, once I recognized that I've been living my life for others and not myself, I started to love the word, because it's not easy to be authentic.
Why?
It is a lot of pressure to be your full self with the idea that people may not like it. You may be judged. You may fail. You may come across as weird. You may come across as stupid. It's just a lot of possibilities with being yourself. But also, if we think about the Maslow hierarchy of needs, second level, everyone wants to feel loved and like they belong. So when you're being yourself, if you're not conditioned to feeling like you can be yourself in full, it's scary to feel like that you can lose everything by being who you are. And everyone's stories are different, but specifically with mine, I was in corporate. I code switched all the time. I always put on this facade because that's just what my world had me doing. Also, I didn't get to learn myself by doing the state to state, city to city type of thing. So with me not discovering myself, everyone knew me of this version. Everyone knew me of that girl. Everyone knew me of the Briana that was this way. So when I started to find myself, I'm like, wow, am I going to lose everything on this side? Because this is really who I am. And it's not that I was lying. I just really didn't know. It took me to have to separate myself from the high moments of life to cause me to understand who Briana Hawkins really is. So my proudest moment for myself is really truly taking the time to get to know me and live in full in me and create with me in mind, and not making choices or decisions because that can make me that much money. That can get me in that door. That can give me a seat at that table, especially because I'm a high achiever. So I'm going to do whatever I need to do to become successful and to get what I want. And that included me not being myself at one point in time, because that's what we're taught to do. But now I am who I am. So if you want to work with me, I know that you want to work with me because of me. And that's perfect for me.
Pep talk with your younger self. If you were to pick up your younger self from school, what would you say to her?
If I was to pick up myself from school?
Yeah, your younger self.
What do you like? That's so vague. What
I would say, so for example, if I picked myself up, I'll be specific. 6th grade, so like 12, 13 years old.
Okay.
Picked myself from school. I will tell her, embrace your weirdness. It's your superpower, and it's gonna work in your favor, because I realize what I get complimented a lot about is you're so free. You're just so yourself.
Yeah.
And there's no there are some people who are even more wild, or there are some people who's very like, no, every hair needs to be in place. I'm like, F the hair, let's go. Like,
yeah.
So that's what I would give the pep talk.
Okay. If I would tell my youngers, when I pick myself up from school, I would tell myself, you have no idea what's inside of you. Just live life. Live life with no regrets, and live life with open-mindedness. I would tell myself to be so open-minded, because the open-mindedness is what's going to get you to places that you have no idea what you are capable of achieving. I will have wanted to hear that when I was younger. So that's what I would tell myself, because I think it's important for the youth to already get accustomed to having high-level conversations like that.
Yes.
I think it's important for them to be poured into. It may go through one ear and out the other but subconsciously they're going to absorb that. That's going to turn into wisdom for them later down the line. So I would have told myself that, because if I was told that at a younger age, I most definitely know for a fact that would have prevented me from people pleasing. That would have prevented me from choosing wrong friends and making all kind of dumb choices, because I would have had in the back of my mind, be open-minded, live in the moment, but you are bound for greatness. So you got to take care of yourself. Yeah. Take care of your mind.
Yes.
Actually, that's what I would say.
Take care of your mind.
I would say take care of your mind first. Mindset is everything.
Ooh, wow. Last section. Fun section. What are you OCD about?
Everything. I'm OC about how things look. Okay. That's why I said everything. If I go to a dance showcase and I see somebody off beat, I'm annoyed. If I go into seriously, if I am on set and I see somebody's hair sticking out, I'm annoyed. Okay. If I realize somebody got on mismatched socks, I'm annoyed. And not annoyed in a way of like I'm affected, but more so like I need to fix this. Okay. I am very particular on the perception of things. I want the first impression of everything and the forever impression of everything to look great. Yeah. And I want it to be that way because people always remember how they felt about something. So if you got on some dope matching socks, it may remind me of my childhood and it may make me feel more connected to you. But if you got mismatched socks, some people would resonate with mismatched socks. So that was a horrible example, but we are all attracted to how things look. Okay. So if things look good, if things look how it's supposed to be, I feel like it can make a better world in general. So I'm OCD about how things look.
On everything. If you could only eat one food for the rest of your life, what would that be?
Tacos.
Really? Hard?
I like authentic. I like all tacos, but to the ones that I can eat for the rest of my life, it would have to be the authentic tacos with the 2 corn tortillas, with the onion and cilantro. But I would need different meats though. I would need like carne asada, chicken,
Gotcha.
shrimp. I can't just eat one
Same
meat taco.
thing, yeah.
But I can eat, the taco trucks. Mm-hmm.
All right. So you already got the 1.5 million.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you were to receive 10 million tonight, how would your tomorrow look different?
Wow. If I got 10 million, I'm doing cartwheels. That's crazy. That would be great.
Like, I wouldn't be here.
How my tomorrow will look different? I actually wouldn't spend it because I would want to really know why I got it. I would want to really understand why I got it. When I got the 1.5 million, I didn't spend that right away either. I cried and I went into a panic because I never seen that much money. So I got scared because I didn't want to make any mistakes and I didn't want to be treated differently. But then I prayed and said, what should I do?
Yeah.
That's the same thing that I would do. I would pray and I would figure out like, what am I supposed to give it to charity? Am I supposed to like, we about to have an apocalypse? Like, should I build a bunker? Like, what's going on? Yeah. So I would do that and I would spend it in the way that I'm guided to.
Yeah.
But with a more conscious answer, I would most definitely, I probably would buy my mama a home. Okay. She haven't bought her own home yet. I'll probably buy her a home. I will most definitely do some more investing. I would buy a studio, like a photo, video, photography studio to actually make the money work back for me. Yeah. So that was one mistake that I made with the 1.5 million. I didn't invest into something that can multiply. I have stocks and all those things, but that's for my future. Yeah. I didn't invest into something that can make me money right now. So I will figure out a vertical integration with my company. I'll probably acquire another company. I don't know. Yeah. I would do something though that will set my family up and then figure out how I can use this to maximize my business. Because if that was the case, there's a lot of things that I could do for our nonprofit arm. There's a lot of things that I can do for churches. There's a lot of things that I can do for my family. I'll probably move my family here. See, that's what I'm saying. I'll have to pray. Because my mind will go to so many places. I will have to pray to figure out what do I need to do with this money so I can make the right decisions based off where we're currently at in life.
Bam. And 2 more questions. In short, what inspired you to relocate from LA to Nashville?
So I actually was in Kansas. I went from LA and Kansas back and forth.
Got you.
And then I stayed in Kansas for college. And then I moved here in 2019 after graduating from college. Yeah, that's how I went. What motivated me to come here? I didn't have no motivation to come here. I just came. My cousin lived here. Okay. And I came down here for a Greek picnic. And she was like, you should move here. And I was already in a position where I wanted to leave where I currently was because I just felt like my season was up. And I felt like if I didn't leave that I was going to go into like a black hole and just stay in like this comfortable space. So I considered it. And when I went back, I started looking for other jobs and stuff. And I made a vision board because then I had committed to moving there because I'm like, cool, like my cousin's there. It seems cool. I don't got to go nowhere and start 100% from scratch because I was a single mom. And once I had a job offer, the girl found me on LinkedIn. I didn't even apply for this job.
Get out.
She found me on LinkedIn, said they had this position open, and said that they wanted to interview me. And then they interviewed me that week. I was hired within 2 weeks. And then once I got hired, my concern was, I don't know how I'm going to get there because at the time, randomly picking up and moving is pretty expensive. They actually emailed me a couple of days later and said, we're going to pay for your relocation. So I didn't have to pay to move to Nashville. They pay for everything. They pay for like the first few months of my daughter's childcare. They pay for me to come out here to scope out the space. Like when I had my one-on-one meeting with them and everything. So it was just a seamless transition. And I feel like I was more so planted here. But if I had to say what motivated me to move here, it would be the fact that I was ready for something new and that this just made the most sense to start my newness at, because I wouldn't have been starting from 100% scratch.
Got it. And to finish it off, what is your ultimate life motto?
Wow, my ultimate life motto. That's a good question. Maybe I need to sit down and actually, no, it's think big.
Think big.
That's my ultimate life motto. That is something that I truly believe in. It's so simple, but it's so impactful, because it's so easy to think small, or it's so easy to think comfortable.
Yeah.
It's so easy to think that the highest you've ever experienced is the highest that you would ever be. And there is no stopping point.
Yeah.
And I know I've been talking about God a lot, but once I read in the Bible that they was closing $1 million deals. You ever read the Bible like that?
Wait, no.
They are closing $1 million deals, gold coins and sheep, and that stuff told us up. They're closing $1 million deals, and they were entrepreneurs, and they did barter and trading. So when I saw that there's kings and queens and like all that stuff in the Bible, very wealthy people, think big. Like, there's no limit that is not awarded to me. I can only go as far as I choose to go. And if I decide to stop right here, that's what I'm going to be. But it's very, very impossible to not go further if you're putting out the energy and doing the work. It's simple law of nature, law of motion. If you move, things will create and things will happen for you. So think big is my motto.
And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Think big, act big. Life is great. Thank you so much.
Thank you.